You're watching Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. And, folks, to begin today's show, I have a double dose of good news for your Seattle Seahawks. We'll break down what exactly is going on with this team, specifically on the offensive line, coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, folks, we are getting so close to our next milestone of 58,500 subscribers here on the channel. We are less than 200 away from reaching that next milestone. For daily Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else, between our live shows, our watch parties, our news and rumors, Q&A mailbags, breaking news, and more, we reacted to the news of the Ernest Jones trade as quickly as possible. Got all our resources together to make it happen, and you better believe we'll do it again. If there's some big news, you'll know about it first and foremost right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get going. Way back, the Seahawks have designated offensive tackles Abraham Lucas and George Fant to return to practice. Lucas, we have not seen at all in 2024. George Fant, we saw briefly to begin the season. And now the Seahawks are getting the much-needed help they were looking for at the right tackle position. Ian Rappaport with this update. This is good news for the Seahawks. Offensive linemen Abraham Lucas and George Fant have been designated to return to practice as their 21-day practice window has opened. And you think about where the Seahawks team has been, right? Just terrible luck when it came to some of the injuries that this team has dealt with Reek Woolen going down, DK Metcalf. We mentioned the offensive linemen, just a number of things on top of a 3-game losing streak that they were under. And then you beat the Falcons, which was a big-time road win. And now guys are getting healthier. DK's injury isn't as serious as what was initially thought, with him being a minor injury, according to Mike McDonald. And other guys are getting healthier. The stars are aligning for the Seahawks now. Things are starting to come together. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, folks. The vibes are good with everything that's going on with what this team has been through at the early point in this season. So, back to Lucas and Fant. Here's what you need to know. Lucas and Fant can officially return to practice. They are cleared to go, and they have what's called a 21-day window. Here's how it works. They have 21 days to return to the 53-man active roster. If they do not, for whatever reason, if the Seahawks say they're not healthy, it's not going to work, then they would be ruled out for the rest of the season. So the Seahawks have been very patient about this. They must be feeling very comfortable about where these two are at if they're going to go ahead and open up this 21-day window right now. We haven't seen Abraham Lucas since Week 18 of 2023. If you recall, he had an injury Week 1, came back later in the year, and was never the same player playing to what he looked like in his rookie season the year prior. Ended up having off-season surgery, and we haven't seen him since. Fant we haven't seen since Week 1 of 2024 when he got injured in that game against the Denver Broncos, and Stone Forsythe has gotten the majority of the starts since then. We did see Mike Jerrell make his debut this past week and had a pretty impressive performance with the injury to Stone Forsythe. Mike McDonald was asked this week about Abraham Lucas, and he said the following. When he does come back, there's a process to get him ready to play. So even if he did start to practice, I think you're looking at a good chunk of practice time to get him ready to go to play a game. So Mike McDonald sounds like he has every intention to use all of these days of this 21-day stretch. Now, you think about this. With Mike Jerrell having that strong debut against the Atlanta Falcons at that right tackle spot, and you bring these guys back, this is massive for this Seahawks team as they gear up for the second half of the season. Usually we're talking about teams when they go into the second half of the season of being banged up and how they're going to play through these injuries and all that. And it's the reverse of this Seahawks team. We're talking about this team getting healthier as they get closer to the games that count even more. That's huge for this Seahawks team that's still figuring themselves out with a new coaching staff and new schemes and all that. Do you trust the Seahawks offensive line? Do you have trust issues, or do you believe in where this offensive line is going from here? Type Y for yes, type N for no. On our pinned comment today, let us know what you think. Now, from here, Stone Forsythe appears to be the odd man out of the equation. He goes to injured reserve, and even if he was healthy, he's been so bad this season, graded as one of the worst offensive tackles in football, that I said this earlier in the week, and I'll continue to reiterate, even if they both were healthy, Stone Forsythe and Mike Jerrell, based on what I saw last week from Mike Jerrell, I would be starting Mike Jerrell over Stone Forsythe, personally speaking. So now with Stone out of the equation, Mike Jerrell there, you got some options to work with Abraham Lucas, who would you assume, if he's more healthy than George Fant, or if all things are equal, rather, that he would slide into the right tackle spot and George Fant would go into the swing tackle spot and Mike Jerrell would be another option, but at least you would have depth that you didn't have before. Now, let's be frank. This doesn't fix everything. You still have some major question marks at the right guard spot with Bradford and Haynes with the inconsistent play there. We've seen Connor Williams be very up and down. Laken Tomlinson hasn't been reliable, but it's a step in the right direction. And Pro Football Network, this past week, they were ranking all of the offensive lines in the NFL, and they ranked the Seahawks offensive line 29th best in the league right now. So there's a ways to go, but getting these guys back, every little bit helps, folks. More to come here on Seahawks Today in a moment, but first, got a great deal that we are offering Seahawks fans right now. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats, for a limited time, we are offering Seahawks hats on sale for up to 25% off. Yes, you heard that right. Up to 25% off. These are some of the hats to choose from. There's plenty of others as well. Maybe you're more of a beanie guy, potentially. There's all sorts of things you can choose from. Visors, your baseball caps, the flat bill. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. 25% off while supplies last. Go get yours today. More on Abraham Lucas. Lucas had a very impressive rookie season, and the talk about him in his rookie campaign was that he was just as good, if not better, than Charles Cross. Now, fast forward a couple of years later, Charles Cross is looking more like the Pro Bowl tackle that he was projected to be as a top 10 pick. But Abraham Lucas certainly, if he's healthy, has potential to be good. They were the first rookie duo to start at tackle 15 total games since 1970. So if Abraham Lucas is healthy, if he can stay healthy, then the future could be bright at those tackle positions with those two leading the way. 22 career games played with 22 starts. Now, if you recall, one of the things that we've talked about in this program when it comes to Abraham Lucas was what Pete Carroll had said last season about Abraham Lucas and the knee issue. Pete Carroll had said that they had felt it was a chronic issue, that this wasn't something that was going to go away. Now, the current Seahawks coaching staff, they feel differently. They do not feel that this is a chronic issue with Abraham Lucas, that this surgery was exactly what he needed, and that once he gets fully healthy, then it shouldn't be an issue anymore. Now, who's right? That remains to be seen, but nonetheless, it at least sounds good from the current Seahawks coaching staff. I personally hope they're right about that, but we'll find out. The last time that we saw Abraham Lucas play a full season, that rookie season back in 2022, his grades were pretty decent as a rookie. In just less than 1,000 snaps, in an overall grade of 68.5, a pass block grade of 69.6. Pass blocking's always been his strength, dating back to his days at Washington State. Run block grade of 65.1. And the scheme is different now compared to when Abraham Lucas last played for the Seahawks. It's so pass-heavy now, that'll play to his strengths. Meanwhile, George Fant was brought in with the initial idea that, hey, we don't know what's going on with Abraham Lucas. We need another option potentially. And George Fant was thought of as one of the best backup swing tackles in all of football. and got a decent amount of playing time previously. Remember, this is his second stint in Seattle. Played for the Jets for a bit, played for the Texans. A lot of experience over the years, 100 career games played with 74 starts. And the last time that we saw George Fant play a decent amount, last season in 2023, he allowed 3 sacks. His pass block grade is similar to what Abraham Lucas's was, a 69.4, overall grade of 63.5, and a run block grade of 53.8 as far as that goes. Now, one more final point before we kind of wrap up here. There's no guarantee, let me make this clear, that either one of these two plays well coming back from injury. That's not a foregone conclusion. You hope that's the case, but it's not guaranteed that you'll see either one of them play well. But just play the numbers game, all right? Thinking about this from what doesn't take a genius, just to add this up here. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, let's say for all intents and purposes, you have a healthy Abraham Lucas, a healthy George Fant, and Mike Jerrell. I would think just based on pure numbers, one of those 3 is going to do a decent job, if not 2 or 3 of them. One of them's got to work. I like the odds for Seattle that at least one of those guys is going to be the answer at the right tackle position. I would lean towards Abraham Lucas. I think he's the most talented of the 3. But personally speaking, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just want to see somebody be consistent and be a reliable option for this Seahawks team at the right tackle spot. If you had to pick one to start, do you lean towards Abe or do you lean towards George Fant? I lean towards Abe. I think that's an obvious answer. But do you trust that knee holding up? Is he going to be the same player that he once was? Or do you go with the more veteran, experienced guy in George Fant? Type Abe for Abe Lucas. Type GF for George Fant. Weigh in, let us know in the comments section. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.